try to keep the pace, but someday we will find that the world has changed, but we stay true to each other. I will always be there for you whenever you need my help. I'm taking my time to be your rock. I don't ever wanna be apart. You gotta know, every day I got your back, yeah, you can count on me for that. So put your hand in mine, I will be there every day. When you're sick of the climb, I will make sure it's okay. I know you didn't ask for any of this, but we reach for the sky. That's the flying colors
Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Nate Manahan. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things today. We're going to be talking, in case you missed it, I have a special little thing I think maybe they missed on the news that I think was the biggest news to hit the internet in the last 2 days that has ever happened. We'll see, and we'll see how much I oversold that. We're going to talk about how do you sell what Papertech does to professional service offices like lawyers, accountants, consulting companies, even dentists and doctors' offices. What are the products that we have that will help them in their payments industry? And we're going to continue our 90s challenge. We're going to go through 4 different head-to-head between the 90s television and find out what happens. This is the high five for Seis de Mayo. Let's have a great one. Well, we're just going to go live music here because my video won't play. What am I going to do? So, you're going to see me dance, and I'm going to bring the music up, and I'm going to bring Mr. Danny Shard up on the screen. And here is Mr. Brian Linky. Now, let's talk about these two men. Okay, as we get going here, as we get started, this is the greatest thing about having these two men on the show. They fight through everything to get here. There's sometimes they can't get here. Danny missed one last week, Brian missed one, but they fight through, win, store. They should not hear. And let me tell you, but the man up in Warsaw, Indiana right now should not be on this show, but he is committed to our partners. He's committed to the show. He's committed to our family and Papertech so much that he is here. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the man who is getting off the mat. He's climbing up on the ropes. His gloves are back up, and we are saying he's ready to go. How are you, Mr. Brian Linky?
I knew I'd make this, so there was no doubt in my mind. Danny texted me last night. I know he doubted me, but I'm not missing 2 in a row. No way.
All right, and I apologize to everybody watching on the stream, and thank you to the 4 people that commented right away. I did not have your audio up, Brian. I had my audio up, so they heard the great introduction, but I forgot to unmute you guys as I probably came on here so you guys could talk. I apologize to everybody. That's Brian Linky. He says the most wisest things he ever is, and he can't repeat it because you can never repeat the wisest things that you ever say in your world twice. And the left-hand corner of the screen right here, that is from Glenwood Springs, Colorado, the man who will make all your dreams come true when it comes to the payments industry, because he knows how things work. He knows how to help you get out of a funk. He knows when you're flying high, how to keep you flying high. He knows, after, 20,000 years of experience, or 15, one of the two, how to make you the best person in the payments industry that you can be. How are you, Mr. Danny Shard?
Thank you, Nate. Doing well. Excited to be here. Excited to have Brian Linky back. He's in good spirits after a tough procedure yesterday. but he's here. He's dedicated to the High Five Nation. So excited to see you, Brian. Welcome back.
Thanks, Dan. Like I said when I was muted, there's no way I'm missing 2 in a row. So
absolutely,
I'd have to be. They'd have to. There's so my mouth shut, which not be a bad thing. But.
All right. Okay, so our first one this morning is our what we call In Case You Missed It. And I brought the video up for the guys so they can see actually what I am showing them and wanting to have. In case you missed it, we talked, I think in week 1 of this show, about the incredible man from Oklahoma, known as the Tiger King. And they immediately turned that into a screenplays that they're working on, 2 different screenplays that Hollywood is working on. That's how bored they are in their homes, trying to figure out how to do things. But yesterday, we found out the news that spread all over the internet. And did you see the news all over the internet about the Tiger King, Brian Linke and Danny Shard?
Nicolas Cage?
That is it! Oh, he did know it.
It's going to be it's amazing what happens when you lay in bed all day. You're watching.
I did not know this.
All right, yes. Nicolas Cage is signed on.
Well, okay. I watched the show, and it's just amazing the world that we live in. That's all I can tell you, because as popular as that show is, it gives everyone out there hope. That's all I can say. Okay, because anyway. So yes, Nicolas Cage, I think, is going to be Joe. What's his name? Joe
the Tiger King. I don't even know his real name. He's just the Tiger King. But first of all, I am the biggest detractor in the history of detractors when it comes to Nicolas Cage. He has, ever since he broke onto the scene in what was his big movie back in 90.
What up, bro? Can I call you back in 3 minutes?
Hey, we got all right. So we hear Danny forgot to mute himself there. As he got it. So one of the things we hear.
Everybody.
There we go. All right, this is a live production. We got it all going on here. But Nicolas was a Birdcage. What's that movie that he did? But it doesn't matter. But he is just a crazy individual. He bought the tomb. He has this giant castle that was going to be his tomb. I think he had to give it up in bankruptcy. But I can't think of anyone more crazy in the Hollywood other than that should play the Tiger King than Nicolas Cage. I hope it's better.
Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic, thank you. Yes. Joe Exotic, the man, the myth, the legend. I can't believe that they are actually going to run with 2 of these screenplays. It was absolutely insane. In case you missed that, you now know Nicolas Cage is going for his first major Oscar role as he plays Joe the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. He's going to make it. He's going to bring it out. It's going to be a great presentation. That is number 1. We're moving on right into number 2 today because we want to move through this quickly. Brian, you weren't here yesterday. We started a little bracket, and so we're going to go through 4 head-to-head matches. You're going to tell me which show you think was the best show that played in the 1990s or the shows you never watched. So we have 4 today, and I did not totally up, so I'll go here next. I'm going to let the guys see the bracket here, so let me bring it up here. The number 1 seed is The Simpsons. They had the most views, and that's just because they've been on for 10 billion years. But The Simpsons are going up against the winner of yesterday's match, Everybody Loves Raymond. Brian Linke, have you watched both of those shows, and do you have any special affinity when it comes to those shows?
Is Buffy the Vampire Slayer another one or no?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer lost yesterday to Everybody Loves Raymond. So I just didn't. Yes.
Good, because I've never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I don't think anybody had. So yes.
Okay. But yes, Everybody Loves Raymond and The Simpsons. I definitely have watched both.
So which one for you is your favorite? What is either of them appointment viewing for you? The Simpsons, which has been doing satire for over 25 years, longest running show in the history of television, doing all the shows, brought us great characters. They have been going on, but to be honest, I haven't watched a live and new episode in a long time. But was The Simpsons better to you than Everybody Loves Raymond?
Well, the thing about Everybody Loves Raymond, okay, I love Ray Romano, and I think that the thing that happened to that show was they were going up against Seinfeld at the time, if I can remember right? during about the same time period. Is that right?
I think so. They bridged over gaps. I'd have to look it up. I mean, but yes, they definitely had overlap at time.
So Seinfeld, I mean, could arguably be the number one sitcom of all time. So to go up against them is hard. So I mean, if I'm going to pick one, and again, I'm not a cartoon guy, but The Simpsons is awfully clever. Again, I love Everybody Loves Raymond, but if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to have to go with The Simpsons.
All right, Simpsons is number one. Danny Shard, let's go quick here. Do you have an affinity to one of these shows, Everybody Loves Raymond or The Tiger King?
Simpsons.
Or not The Tiger King. Everybody's blamed to The Simpsons. Sorry. Man, my brain is fried apparently this morning. Tiger King's on the mind. All right.
Brian, if you watched the High Five a little bit yesterday while you were recovering, I even lobbied to have Seinfeld moved into the championship round because I think it's a no-brainer that's at the top of everything from 90s.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have two other in this part of the bracket. These are two new entries. I've seen both of these shows. We have Ashton Kutcher's incredible That 70s show as he breaks on, bringing the 70s to the 90s, and then we also have the 70s coming to the 90s when Fred Savage breaks on, coming off The Princess Bride and brings us the Wonder Years. Gentlemen, did you grow up watching either of these shows? I will say I have a distinct choice. So, and by the way, I'm giving The Simpsons the win there. I didn't even get it. Simpsons moved on already. We're going to 70s show or Wonder Years. Were either of you guys big Wonder Years or 70s shows viewers?
I mean, I did watch the Wonder Years really when I was younger, but I got to go with 70s show on this one. I mean, that was a staple, and you've got just that storyline that they had with Fez and Ashton and Mila Kunis and I forget the other guy's name, Danny something. And then you got Red, right? I mean, the father, that was probably one of the funnier parts of the whole show. So I got to go 70 show on this one.
I'm going 70 show as well, and I'm not that familiar with either one of those, but I've watched the 70 show a little bit, and again, it plays back into my childhood. So I'll go 70 show.
All right, so I've been defeated. I would have chosen Wonder Years, and a lot of times shows to me because I've watched with my oldest two kids the whole series of the Wonder Years, and I was a person in 6th, 7th grade that absolutely had a complete crush on Winnie Cooper, and so that brings like emotional memories back to me versus the 70s show, which was a later kind of older humor, and I've not watched that with. In fact, I've not rewatched it, but I've rewatched the Wonder Years. So I would have picked that, but the 70s shows moves on to the other bracket here that we have Saved by the Bell, which should get the number 4 seed against the number 13 seed because it was unappreciated in its time, Seinfeld. I think we know who's going to win here, but let's just give a little credit to Zach Morris and the boys and AC Slater and all those at Saved by the Bell, because I have to imagine, Danny, you watched Saved by the Bell.
It was on after I got off of school every day, right? I mean, it was whenever I was really young and I didn't have practice after school, it was go home and flip on Saved by the Bell for 30 minutes or something like that. I had the hugest crush on Kelly Kapowski. I've seen, I think, every Saved by the Bell episode, but even though it was such a staple of my childhood, Seinfeld's gotta take it.
Yeah. Wow, and I think today is apparently admit you had crushes on earlier on people during, but because it's Kelly Kapowski and what was her name, the tall one?
Jesse Spano.
Yes. Yeah, I've watched every unfortunate episode. I've watched it as they went to the college years. I am so embarrassed because it's so bad. And was it Belding is the principal? I haven't watched it in years, but that's one of those shows I am not bringing into my kids' lexicon because I'm embarrassed that I watched it. But it was good television. But it was after school. I mean, literally the budget for it had to be nothing. I think Seinfeld can be moved on. So let me bring on, because the last one here for today, and I'm interested in this. So this is Full House versus Married with Children. Talk about opposite end of the spectrums of these shows. Married with Children, I think, Fox late night after news television, isn't that when Married with Children, that's when I remember, right, came on. It was kind of an odd spacing of when that came on. Al Bundy, and just complete, it was the entry level to raunch TV without being explicit, I guess. And then Full House, which really has two runs. It has Full House, and then Netflix brought it back for now 6 seasons of Fuller House, and using the same characters. Bob Saget, the raunchiest comic you may ever see, actually was America's dad in this Full House. I'm going to assume, Brian, you've watched both of these shows.
I have, and I mean, Married with Children by a landslide. It's not even close.
Without a doubt. Al Bundy.
I'm going to take it because, again, this is another one of my shows. My 10-year-old daughter, who absolutely loves Fuller House, loved Full House, is what she goes to request. I will vote in the losing effort to try to help them get on, but we move on Married with Children, and that is the end of our 90s television channels. We continue to learn how we grew up and learn a little more about Danny Shard and Brian Linke and who we all had crushes on back in the day. Time for number 3 today. And I have a little video, and let's see. My video didn't play earlier, so let's see if this works. I just realized that. All right, so hopefully we can hear this little video. Gary Vee on hustle and work ethic. Let's hear it.
A lot of people that push against hard work, hustle, are people who've already hustled and didn't find fulfillment from it, but maybe somebody else did. If you're like working 15 hours a day for a year because you're starting your videography business, that's probably okay. It does take work to start something. If you've achieved some level of success 3 years in, and you don't want to take it to a $10 million business from a $3 million business because you've fallen in love and you've started a family and you want to go to you want to play wiffle ball outside with your child, that's amazing. There is no right. There's only right for you. More importantly, there is no line in the sand.
All right, so that was a shorter segment that I cut out of 3 different clips of about a 10-minute video. Search Gary Vee on Hustle, and you can watch the whole thing. It's got about 100 million views, and it's something that he and his team put together probably about a year ago. But I was thinking about this because I was talking to a couple partners yesterday, and they were talking about how they were setting priorities and trying to figure out where they were in their stage of life and how hustle is changing, using that word, and that word sometimes is inflammatory. Some people use it different ways, but that, if they're in different stages of their life, there are people who are saying, hey, there are times when I've hit where I need to go, and I'm gonna take the pedal off the metal a little bit, and then there are times to go all the way to the floor. And I'm interested, I've met 2 very successful men, Danny and Brian. What was when you heard that short little clip, what was your thoughts about it? And what do you think about having different stages of life and trying to evaluate how much drive goes into making, getting that next sale? And sometimes, because it just takes all that energy, how do you balance that?
Well, again, I think that's the key word, Nate. Balance is the key word, just like anything in life, right? I mean, you work, but you also can't forget about, the important things. And family is obviously first. And I think that's what he was trying to say, is that you just have to find a balance in life. And if money is, all that drives you, then it's probably not the right thing. You probably need to take a couple steps back and reevaluate your life and your situation, and get back to what's important. That's kind of what I got from it.
How about you, Danny? What for you? What was, when you hear that? What are you thinking?
It really resonates with me because I'm kind of right there in my life, right? I'm in my mid-30s. I've worked really hard in this industry up to this point and continue to. But I was in that hustle mode and still kind of am right now. But before we had our first child, I was 12, 14 hours a day every day. And it was just a constant grind, right? Trying to build, trying to grow, and seeing good success from it. And then as I've had a family and things have kind of slowed down on the family side, right? We've become a little bit more domesticated and staying home more and not moving as fast. I'm seeing my life go a little bit more in that direction. I'm fighting it as much as possible because internally I I just want to constantly be in that grind. And I've got a lot of people around me, like all of you and Matt and Billy and everybody that just is constantly staying on that grind. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I can absolutely relate to that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the things I've been thinking is it's about that balance. Like, you guys get emails from me from 2 a.m., but what you didn't see was Danny and Brian, but a lot of people don't see is, from 3 to 10, I was just with my kids, and I was making salsa, and I'm in a place where I can make those decisions, and just everybody has different spots in their job. And if you're in a job where you have to work 9 to 5, and you have to be at a desk, or now your home desk, and you have to be, and that's not how you want to be able to function your life, then work on goals to get you to that next step. And that may mean a little extra hustle and a little side hustle, and it's in different stages of life. But like for me right now, then from 10 o'clock, I jump back in. I caught up on a lot, the 30 emails I had missed, tried to read everything, respond to Cam. I always sometimes miss some. It's amazing how I screw that up, but I'm trying. But I work till 2 or 3, go to bed, get up at 8, sometimes 7, and go back at it again. And that's my current schedule. But then when I hit the weekend and I'm with my kids, and but Friday at 6 till Sunday, I'm focused just on them, and it's about finding that priorities and living in the season. And I think one of the things people have criticized, and this is what that video is a response to, people have criticized Gary Vee about saying work-life balance, and he would say, there's no work-life balance, I'm working all the time. And that's what I agree with Gary on that you have to figure out what you're working for and why you're doing it, and that then changes helping you set your priorities. Brian, as our elder statesman on this, how have you, because Danny just shared, as he said, I love the word, as he's become domesticated. I think that may be the sound clip I use for the rest of the show.
It's amazing what a wife and kids will do.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you see that? Because you're moving, or maybe you're just going to keep kicking the can down the street, but you're moving closer to an empty nest place, and you're at least the closest of any of us would be eyes in sight, and you were almost there, and then you decided to reinvest.
I'm not sure if that was my decision. But
all right, but how does that change your viewpoint? Because now you're looking toward the next stage of life, being able to say, hey, I'm going to take a different stage in retirement and those things. What are your priorities? Are you seeing is that a big difference from when you first started having kids? Is that a big difference for you?
That's a good question, and I don't think that I've changed a whole lot. I mean, and I've talked to Danny about this before, because he's got, you're kind of in the middle, and Danny's got a little one and one on the way. But when my kids were growing up, and I used to tell people, I'm not missing anything. Right? I'm not missing a t-ball game. I'm not missing, so all this travel that I've done since I've been at Paperotech, I would have had to juggle that around everything. And Nate, believe me, I commend you, because I'm not really sure how you do it with 4 kids, because it gives me a headache just to think about it. But no, I think, I made it through that, didn't miss anything. I don't have any regrets at all. I continued to work, and this was before Paperotech. I relied on a lot of people. I managed a sales office of a bunch of guys, and I was just very truthful with them and honest with them, and asked them, hey, can I do this? Do you guys mind if I coach this? I'm going to have to leave at 3 o'clock today, and if it was ever a no, I wouldn't have done it. But I was fortunate. I worked with some people that were very forgiving and made it through. So, but again. Whatever you miss, whatever you don't do, you're never going to get it back. And I think, Nate, you know that probably more than anybody at this point.
Yeah, and that's, like I will say, the interesting thing about this season of life, because all my kids extracurricular, because I like you, Brian, I try so hard, and I will take red eyes and do everything. I've missed a few things for travel, but I try to never miss any of their events. And it's been, as you were saying that, I was like, I haven't really thought about that. Right now I would have, 3 in baseball and softball, 2 of them doing swimming, getting ready to go into a summer swimming season that now is canceled already. And so the change of that in this stage of life, so it changes. And you have to respond and figure out, okay, man, I don't have extracurriculars right now to go and watch my kids, but there are other things that are priorities. And there's different seasons. And like, making sure and building things for Papertech has become a major priority, but also making sure that I, sit down last night and draw pictures of tulips with Maggie, and we make fresh salsa for my kids and do things like that. It's finding that balance, trying to say, okay, these are the things I want to, make the most important things in life. And I think it's about that balance.
Again, if you're going to be in sales, if you don't develop some type of routine, you're going to be just scattered all over the place. And, again, in today's day compared to back in the 70s and 80s, in 90s, it's a lot easier today, right? Like yesterday, I really wasn't supposed to be talking a whole lot, but I didn't miss any emails. I laid there, I responded to all my emails, responded to all my text messages. So it's a little bit, it's much easier today to stay in tune. But again, if you don't have a routine, you're going to struggle.
Yep, absolutely. All right, gentlemen, it's time for number 4 as we go into where Papertech and our team, how do we help different types of industries? And today we want to talk about consultants and dental offices. I called them professional offices. It's hard because everybody's professionals, but I was trying to come up with a term to describe it in this vertical. The lawyers' offices, it used to be, hey, the people who wore, a little more suits and ties, or, doctors' offices. But these are different places because they're places that, in they accept payments, there's a few caveats on each one of them. They may be on recurring billing. They may need QuickBooks integration. They may need they may want to do invoicing and be able to do click to pay. So as I was thinking about that, what are the things, and let's start with you, Danny, that we offer that help these type of industries to be able to take payments and even function more in their business? Because this isn't really what we call in our world the point of sale. They're not going to run a paradise in their office, but what things do we run to help them?
Yeah, and it's additional features, like back-end reporting, invoicing capabilities are being even more popular now. Nate, you and I talked about that briefly today, about the ability to still do accept a payment even if someone's in your doctor's office, right? And just sending them an invoice for them to pay right there on their phone, as opposed to having to pass cards over if they don't have contactless options. Integrations with things like QuickBooks Online, which our back offices can do, and things like that, I think, is just helping merchants get outside of the box and not have to implement these big, more expensive POS systems and still achieve these different alternative ways of accepting a payment.
Brian, we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. But to my knowledge of your portfolio, this is not a major piece of your portfolio. But as you're thinking about it and you're meeting with our partners, a lot of them are working with it. What do you see as the obstacle that a lot of people are coming against when working with these professional services, when making the sales and the pitch, and how they present themselves and getting into those things? Because I know we talked about dental offices. You've been in those. What are people missing when they're getting involved in that?
Well, I think the question that needs to be asked by a salesperson when they get into a dental office or a doctor's office, and again, we've got an agent of ours who was on our show a few weeks ago, Kevin Lashley, who's made a living, and a very good one, doing shows. And he's got, I think Danny and I talked about, like 600 plus merchants, dental offices, doctors' offices. So there's obviously a niche there, and it can be done. Just personally, what I have found, and again, this can be eliminated just by asking a simple question. The 2 dentist office I had that I lost, and it wasn't anything that Papertech did or that I did. They went to one of these dental shows or dentist shows, and there was this software, and I don't know what it is, or I didn't really care to talk about it because I lost the account, but it was tied into their payments, and they just decided to go with that. So if I had any advice to offer, it's just the simple question of, what are you doing now? What are you using now? Rather than get so far in depth and find out that we really can't do it.
And I think a lot for these industries is getting that first question, how do you want your business to run? Because as the rule says, that Brian always teaches us, we don't sell on price, stop selling on price. And price in most of these industries and their margins are high enough that price isn't their biggest concern. It's about ease and lifestyle. And so if they really want that practice management software to run their payments, and they're going to pay, we know in almost all cases they're going to pay more in order to do that. You're going to have to walk away. But some of them are wanting to either sell on price, or they're certainly just looking for ease of payment, and they don't have a software they're using, or the software doesn't even offer payments, or they don't care. They'll reconcile in the back end to QuickBooks anyways, so they're like, okay, it doesn't have to be in the practice management software, and we just want the easiest way for the customer to pay to get paying, because they need that money. So if they're a consultant, a law office, you have to think these offices are running on their customers, on the clients, paying them quickly. And what's the fastest way to pay? Click to pay through an email. I was thinking, I was talking to one of our partners that was thinking about helping set some law offices up with apps, through custom app build. And so they were going to put custom content on those apps that they could put all their forms in there so they can download, but then they can also put alerts, because you can put notifications based on the user accounts saying, hey, you haven't paid your recurring retainer, or whatever those things are, and make those payments right through the app, and being able to do that and send them a text message, bill reminder, you're going to be able to do this. And you'd be able to set up some of that, not so much on the practice management software, but even for a dental office. So thinking outside the box, because the thing that's most important for them is not having an aging accounts payable where they have 30, 60, 90 days out of people who haven't paid, and they want to make sure those people are paying quicker and faster. FreshBooks has made a whole industry of trying to say, hey, we can make people pay 60% faster. Well, we have those tools between invoicing, apps, which has text to pay, doing the QuickBooks integrations that make those things happen faster for these types of clients. Danny, on these types of clients for our partners, are you seeing there? We know that like dental offices, in Kevin, we were talking about that there are huge opportunities to build big portfolios. Are you seeing people that are focusing on services? And like that with Kevin, we know he had to go. I don't know if he had to, but he chose to go all in, and it's really made his success on just helping dental offices. Do you see that that's something when you get into this niche that you have to jump all in to be the most successful, not just do the one-offs?
I think Kevin's story is very unique. Most of you saw Kevin Lashley on here a couple weeks ago. We're going to have him on again here soon to talk more about his success with that. And I think to get on the level of success that he's seen with 500, 600, 700 dentists and more, you have to go all in, right? You've got to have that approach. You got to be going to shows. But I do think I'm not seeing that much, right? And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think more diversified portfolios is what the majority of partners are looking for. As we can all imagine, a lot of dentists were recently closed during this as they're starting to open back up right now. So there is some challenges with having just tunnel vision, niche focus on one vertical. But it also gives you a competitive advantage because you become the expert and the specialist on that vertical. So I'm not seeing a lot of partners taking that deep of approach. We do have some that focus and things like that, but I love Kevin's approach, and I mean, me and him are really good friends. We talk about it often. I think for mass partners out there, a mass amount of partners out there, the best thing you can do is not go all in on one vertical like that, but definitely become an expert and try to have a niche in a few different ones, but kind of locking yourself in, you can be very heavily weighed one way or the other.
Well, I think one of the things we can all agree on is that we can help any type of industry, and certainly, and when you find a, what do they call that, the military term, when you find because you're looking, they're looking for a weakness in the line, and that's where you go and you focus all your energy on that. There's a term that I'm looking for that I can't think of. And in this, there may be something. When you see that opportunity, you seize it. And so you may find an opportunity, because let me tell you, if you do lawyers or dentists, they talk to each other. And that's where those referral networks are so strong, because suddenly you are able to, if you become the expert to the experts on that, and you kind of become the dental whisperer, the horse whisperer per se, of all that industry, and you can do that. But until you find that little place where you say, oh my word, I have the complete flow of deals coming to me all over the place, I need to dive all in, I certainly encourage diversification, but also make sure you're paying attention to when there's opportunities. If you just signed up 10 law offices in the last month, you may want to pay attention. Is this something I could get to a couple hundred if I really seized and focused on that opportunity for a period of time? I don't know that, and I think anyone would, there's a limit to that at some point for most people. But you could also grow that portfolio so large that even when there is a dip and having diversification, I can see all the ways. Go ahead, Danny.
No, and I think, especially as we come out of this and get on the other side of it, having some of those targeted efforts towards a specific vertical is a great thing to do, right? And you can do this for a period of time and then jump into something else, again, making your entire portfolio diversified. But there's a lot of ways to appeal, and obviously we've talked about this at length, Nate. I mean, customer safety and ensuring customer safety is of the utmost importance, right? And leveraging that to a lot of these businesses that are trying to open their doors is huge, and you can make that vertical specific. Yep.
All right, so as we move on, I want to bring up our number 5. And our number 5 comes from Mr. Danny Shard. He didn't know it, but he was reposting a friend's post, but I saw the engagement on it late last night when I was looking quickly at Facebook. I don't jump in very often, but this rose because Facebook pushed it right to the top of my feed, and I thought this was good. So let me bring it up, and I won't read all these, but he wrote this post on Facebook, or I think posted this post on Facebook.
I think Danny's brother did it. Didn't Brian Shard do it?
No, I stole it from a good friend of mine, Brady Nash. Okay. And I think he had got it from somebody. But this is the kind of thing I think everyone should be spreading. So yeah. Thanks for sharing this, Nate. This is cool.
Well, and I think I'm not going to read it, but it's governors are trying to figure out how to do all these things. I'm going to read a couple of these. Some are still scared of getting the virus and a second virus happening. That's okay. Be kind. Some are sighing with relief to go back to work, knowing they may not lose their business to their humans. That's okay. Be kind. Some are thankful that they can finally have a surgery they have put off. That's okay. Be kind. Some will be able to attend interviews after weeks without a job. That's okay. Be kind. And it goes through this. Some will wear masks. Be kind. And I just liked at the end, remember to be kind. And I just thought this was a great reminder of where we're in, because let me tell you, some of the pictures I see of things happening in capitals here, even in my capital city here in Indianapolis, people who have gotten frustrated and angry, I understand that. But if you start with the word, I'm going to be kind to others, even when I think they've wronged me, that changes our perspective. And how does that, Danny, there's a lot of, obviously it drove you, and you're not a huge poster on Facebook, drove you to repost that. Why was that important to share with yesterday?
And I just see so much frustration from a lot of people, which is understandable, right? As we're getting to almost the tipping point and getting on the other side of this, but every state's doing something different. Every market's a little different. There's just, more and more frustration building. And I think it's just it was a great reminder. It's a great reminder for me, something that I want to look at every day. And, when I wake up, try to keep that in the back of my mind as I work through in business and in my personal life, and getting back to being social again, right? Like my brother commented there, like, do you and let everybody else do them, and above all else, be kind, right? It's just being accepting of everyone else's opinions and outlook, and just knowing all of us are in a different place. And I thought it was a really good reminder. And you're right, I don't share very much on Facebook, but when I do, I try to make it something like that if I can.
Brian, I think for me, one of the things that made me think of is a good friend of mine always says, when you take the high road, you ultimately will never lose. And the long-term thoughts. I mean, when we think about our teams that are working out in the field, that are, working with their teams of people, maybe by themselves, being kind will never lose long term, will it?
Here's the thing, and I've lived by this my entire life, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. To be nice to someone, to be kind to someone, to me, it's easy. I think the people that go the other way, I mean, how much time and
work harder
go into it? I mean, it's exhausting to keep, to not like someone or not be kind to some. I just think it takes so much more energy to be that way. I just could never understand people that were like that, because there's just so much going on in their head, rather than, hey, you know what, let's be nice to someone, let's be kind to someone. It's just so much easier.
It is. In fact, let's be kind here today as we finish up a little bit. I don't know. Ooh, that's got a good groove to it. I didn't even know what music I chose today. All right. So we're going to finish up today. We're having a lot of fun. It's hump day. It's Wednesday. It's Seis de Mayo. We're at the beginning of May. If you're a Pay Protect partner and you're watching this, and I'm going to clip this part, so I'm going to do this here later this afternoon, you need to join us tomorrow at 3 o'clock at payprotect.live. There'll be a live stream there. We'll send you can email. I'll put a link where you can even sign up to get an email reminder to be there. But we're going to be launching some big stuff. But I want to bring back up Mr. Danny Shard, Mr. Brian Linke. What are your closing marks today? As we have, I don't know, what do you call this? Funkabilly music? I don't even know what this is here. But hey, Brian Linke, what do you have? What do you challenge us today? What's your challenge?
Nate, you stole my thunder here. If any of our partners out there did not receive the email about the live launch tomorrow, please contact Danny or myself or Nate so we can get that to you. I spent all day in bed yesterday just sending out emails regarding this, because this is a big thing. This is going to change the way we do business, and you need to get yourself signed up and get on the live launch tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
All right, and Danny Shard, what say you?
Totally. Jump on tomorrow. Stay engaged with us. A lot of really good things that are coming out, and to help you sell more and to help merchants be more efficient and save more. So jump on. You don't want to miss it, and be kind today.
All right, and in that we will close out another day of the High Five. Let's have some fun today, guys. Let's get some work done. Let's have some fun. High five, everybody.
See you guys.
Sports and gaming.
Sales and marketing. It's time for the High Five. We've got it all covered. It's time for the High Five. We've got it all covered. Yeah. The High Five.
The High Five. We'll see you.